I'm here with Sunil Weeramantry, the stepfather of Hikaru Nakamura, and one of his most loyal supporters. Sunil, tell us a little bit about your role as a stepfather for Hikaru coming up. How did you recognize the talent?
Well, I wish I knew. But around the age of 10, he just took off, and then there was no stopping him. So, I like to think I did something special, but I don't really think so. I think it was really him.
Do you still get involved into his career actively? Do you train him at all, or do you just go to tournaments and be a moral support for him?
Yeah, I'm mainly in the position of moral support, although I do give him some advice. So that's really my involvement.
One thing that people might not know is that you were actively involved in creating this tournament, the Sinquefield Cup. Tell us more about that.
Yes, indeed. So Joy and Tony and Jeannie were talking one day, and we were saying, there's nothing named after X, and we really needed something, so let's create something called the Sinquefield Cup. So the idea at the time was to do a 6-player double round robin. And I was going to Norway for the Norway chess tournament, so I was entrusted with speaking to people and setting this up. So when I got to Norway, though, the first person I spoke to was Lev Aronian, and because Magnus would not play or would prefer to play if Lev was playing. So I spoke to Lev, and Lev said, there's no way, Sunil, it's not going to work, double, And so I looked at Lev's schedule, and I said, okay, give me your dates. He said, this is what I have. So on the spur of the moment, I changed the tournament myself without calling St. Louis. And I said, okay, it's going to be a 4-round double round robin, 4-player double round robin, and that'll fit in the dates. Will that work? He said, yes. So I said, okay, you're on. So then I called Espen, got a hold of Magnus, and I called St. Louis and said, I just changed the tournament. It is now the top 2 in the world versus the top 2 in the US. So Hikaru and Gata.
And that's how it started. Did you envision that this is going to be one of the biggest events in the world? Right now we have the top 10 chess players on the planet actively playing in this tournament right now.
Fantastic to see, and yes, we did have an idea it would evolve into that, but we had to start somewhere. And so, getting that first tournament off the ground was the hardest thing to do.
And you're also the executive director of the National Scholastic Chair Foundation, also the co-chair of the Scholastic Council of US Chess. Tell us a little bit more about that, and how is your involvement playing out?
So I am very involved in trying to popularize chess, and we are always looking at at ways to do it. And I think the one thing that we have not succeeded in doing is creating a value proposition that all parents understand that, hey, it's good for my kid to play chess. Right, there is a benefit to this. If we can get parents buying into this, that's the first step. We have to be able to create that, right? Secondly, we have to actually enlist the parents' support in helping teach the kids, and that's why, for example, that recent booklet that Dr. Jeannie Sinquefield put out, Learn to Read and Write Chess.
Actually, let's pull that out.
Yes, this one. I think something like this that can be made available at very low cost, if at no cost at all, to parents will get them involved, you see, and that becomes part of the process. Thirdly, you need to get chess as a curricular subject in schools. And, that's a little harder to do, but certainly in kindergarten through 2nd grade, every single kid should have an exposure to chess. But it requires a different kind of teaching, because you're not teaching necessarily to produce chess players, but for other benefits. And so, for example, in those grades, you should tie it into social emotional learning and meet the standards that, that are prescribed. So this is very important. And lastly, I would say what you're doing here in St. Louis, which is having the best of the best come and play, so that you can try to create role models, for the young people, so they can see, Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, and that they're very successful, and they would aspire to be something like this. So these tournaments fill that role beautifully.
And you wear a lot of hats, and you are also an author. Tell us a bit about that. And actually, we have one of your books, which was aired last year, if I'm not mistaken. Talk about this a little bit, and how does this tie into the social studies and chess?
So this book was published last year, and the reason I published it was because I wanted to show regular educators that there's an intersection between normal academic subjects and chess. You see, because I think that actually helps to get chess into the curriculum. And to me, the most obvious first step was to talk about chess and history.
Right.
You know, it has a great history. In fact, Christian, you know, the chessboard right here in the center of the book, on the cover, this belonged to King Charles I of England. And Charles was deposed and eventually executed. When Charles was led to his execution, he took two things with him. In one hand, he had a Bible, and in the other hand, he carried this chessboard.
Excellent. Excellent. And in 2004, you were the Chess Educator of the Year. I think you received that award at University of Texas at Dallas, which
Yes.
is my alma mater.
Oh, okay.
And also I'm involved in college chess. What can you tell us about college chess? How can we improve the experience of the chess players coming to compete and be professional athletes on a collegiate team?
Yes, so now, you know, we are getting increasing involvement in college. I know you yourself are starting a program in Mizzou. I think that this is a very important step. I don't understand why we have so many high school players and at the scholastic level, and they all stop playing when they go to college. So creating more chess clubs and giving them opportunities to pursue it even, you know, at a less competitive level, I think is extremely important.
Well, Sunil, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us and share your ideas. And I'm sure we'll see you around because you're here with Hikaru, of course, watching his games and suffering alongside him. Thank you very much, Sunil.
Thank you, Chris.